Hi there, and welcome back to the Direct Sales Bookings University. I was really excited in all the comments we had on our post the other day. That was pretty cool. If you did not watch the first webinar, I strongly suggest you go back and watch that, and make sure to read all the comments too. If you did already watch it, go back and listen again, as well as read all the comments, because the comments show that you're not alone. You know, one of the things that you'll notice when you go back is that everybody wants examples of the 10-second rule. How or what do you say when you incorporate the 10-second rule, and what kind of questions do you ask? You know, the goal in the 10-second rule is just to keep the focus on other people. That doesn't really matter what the question is, whether it be your kids, your new friends at the grocery store, or your husband. You know, you're going to practice this for the rest of your life, and you're never going to get it perfect. And yet, the more you practice it, the better you'll get at it, and the more things will be returned to you. It's kind of like digging a hole. You know, if you dig long enough, if you keep the focus on the project, and which is developing relationships, you are going to eventually find gold. And so you'll always, in the end, get what you want when you keep on keeping the conversation open. So it was pretty obvious with all those questions the other day that people want examples. So let's say you're talking to your kids, and the kid comes home from school and he just had a fight. Well, so, hey, Johnny, what happened? Jason hit me. I got mad. I hit him back. And then we were rolling around on the ground. Well, oh, geez. It looks like it hurts. Why did Jason hit you? See, you always end in a question. I took his phone because I wanted to look at Angry Birds, and he hit me. Wow, you know I hate to see you in a fight. Did you ask him first if you could look at it? And so it goes on like that. But you can see that if you just started yelling at the kid, talking about how I hate fighting, then you're not going to get answers. You're not going to find out what really happened. So when you keep the focus on the child, you're going to really get more answers. Share for 10 seconds or less. Listen with more clarifying information. Listen to the answer, and then share for 10 seconds or less with more clarifying information, and always end in a question. So let's say we're out and about and you're making friends. Your goal is not to book shows, your goal is to make friends. And so if you focus on making friends when you're out and about, there's going to be less pressure. You'll never be perceived as being pushy, and you won't be as fearful or worried about, you know, not being received properly, because your goal is to make friends. So let's say you're at the grocery store checkout counter and you see somebody there and you say, oh my, what beautiful children you have. How old are they? Well, thank you. Jennifer is 12 and Amy is 10. Very nice. You two are so cute. What are your vacation plans? See, the goal is just to develop a relationship. It just continues. Share for 10 seconds or less. End in a question, listen, respond with clarifying information, and then end in a question. And so even at the home party, like maybe they're checking out at the home party, and maybe they even already said they want to have a show, maybe they didn't. Oh, you look like you had so much fun tonight. What was your favorite product? I was really impressed with the XYZ. Cool. I see that you didn't get that though. What's stopping you from putting that on your shopping list? And you see what happens is you're just digging a little hole. You're not being pressured. You're not going straight to the booking. But let's say now they did check. Yes, I might like to host a show. And so they're at the checkout counter and you're talking to them. And instead of hitting them right now with, do you want to have a show? You say, oh, I see you're ordering the XYZ. I love that. What are you going to use it for? And then she answers you, and you say, nice. You know, we have a complimentary piece that goes with that very nicely. I see you didn't get it. And were you thinking you might like to get that at your show? I see you said you might like to have a home party. Yeah, but I'm not really sure. Well, you looked like you had a lot of fun today. I'll bet you'd be a perfect hostess. What day of the week's best for you to have a show? And see, you're asking questions that kind of drive you in the direction you want. So it's always share for 10 seconds or less, end in a question, listen with clarifying, listen carefully to their answer, and then respond with more clarifying information and end it in a question. And you will get places. Your conversations will continue. When you talk too much, you always share what you think they want to hear. And so if you realize you're talking too much, instead of just talking, all of a sudden, bing, I'm talking too much, just pull any question out of your head. It doesn't matter. You could be talking about, you know, scheduling a show and you're host benefits, and all of a sudden you think, I'm talking too much. And so you just say, oh, where do you live? You just pull any question out that, boom, puts the focus back on them. So I want to move on to fear. Now look back. I really want you to go back and look at all the comments that we had on the video from last week. Huge list of comments, and everybody pretty much has kind of the same train of thought. Everybody really liked the content of the last video and some of the concepts. So check it out, because that had really great value, and it would be a good idea to check it again. And it's excellent to see that so many people are taking action and actually, you know, addressing some of their fears. I see the word fear and afraid and just words that indicate that the whole thing about the willingness problem is that part of it is admitting it is part of the process of controlling it. And I want to give you some real specific techniques to overcome your fears. And I also want to give you some very specific ways to find business on each one of these small webinars. And so I want to save some time at the end for that. So I have a technique that's going to just fill your calendar with leads. All right. So admitting your fears and admitting that you're not afraid and not willing, that's why we want to look at what's holding you back. You know, that was one of the action steps from the other day. So I'm going to, there were so many. I'm going to put a couple of one-liners out here, you know, but, you know, if you're not alone in your fears, so go back and look at them, read them again. One of them is fear of the phone. Of course, we all hear that all the time. But you know what? The phone is your cash register. In the program, the Cash Flow Show, which is the premier product on the website that the website was named after in the first place, the createacashflowshow.com, that program talks a lot about, actually it's an acronym. Okay, so the C in Cash Flow Show stands for your cash register, because every business has a cash register. Your phone is the cash register, so get over it. Most of these fears are just good excuses not to take action, because it might not be your first choice of things to do. And so, you know, one of the fears is afraid to call at the wrong time, afraid to make the call. It might be dinner time or whatever, but that's just a form of procrastination too, because you know, you're just mind reading. You know as well as I do that there's no perfect time for everybody on earth, and so the perfect time to make those calls is when it's perfect for you. Stop being a mind reader and just do it. That's just an excuse. Fear of being too busy once you get to being successful, well, you know what? That would be a really good problem to have to solve. So why don't you start putting a positive spin on things? Another one was can't deliver the dream. You know, it's not your job to deliver the dream. It's your job to teach people, to share the opportunity, to give them a gift, and then it's their job to seek out that dream, just like it's your job to seek out the dream for yourself. Some of the many other comments were the fear of taking action, fear of being wrong, fear of letting people down, not being organized, saying the wrong thing. You know, and it pretty much goes back to almost the same exact things that we talked about last week on the first webinar, and that is that it doesn't matter what people think. It's really more about you. And so don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to be rejected or have a confrontation. When you focus on being friends, you're not going to be confrontational. When you focus on making new relationships, you will never be perceived as being pushy. And it's none of your damn business what other people think. So not having the magic words is actually just another excuse, because there are no magic words. Overcoming fears will not happen automatically, but you're taking the first step. But it takes deliberate action, deliberate intent, and a conscious action towards doing the things that scare you. Did you make that list of your fears that we talked about the other day? I suggest you go back and watch that webinar again and read every comment down that page. Go back and watch the video again and make that list of the things that you're afraid to do in business and prioritize them easy to hard and start doing one small, because each action helps you to grow. When you overcome fears, you grow as a person and you expand the possibilities in your life and in your business. I've always really found it interesting, and I see this a lot in the other side of my business and teaching people how to live healthy, is that people would rather play it safe than be happy. You know, when you're trying to play it safe, it often is making you choose to be unhappy. So did you know that when you choose not to do anything, you are still making a choice? Think about it. Own your choices. Take responsibility for your lack of action. Or, on the other side of that, take responsibility for your actions. Let's face it, the only thing in life that is a real fact is that someday your heart's going to stop and this wonderful life will be over. And so, to have a good life requires some type of risk taking and some type of stepping out of your comfort zone. So go for the adventure, like we talked about the other day. You know, I'm going to give you some specific steps right now to overcoming fears. And yet, if you don't take action from our last call and the actions on this call, it's not going to matter. So here we go, about taking risks and overcoming fear. This is what I've learned in my long life. First of all, you have to decide between playing it safe or jumping off the cliff. And I just say that because jumping off the cliff's the unknown, playing it safe's what you already know. So in order to do that, you have to learn how to develop accurate perception. Like, people often mistake their feelings and their thoughts as being same. They are not the same. Feelings are never wrong, they just are how you feel. It's okay to feel afraid, but our thoughts oftentimes influence how we feel. And so feelings come from our subconscious, and they're almost, I don't want to say programmed, but they're learned because our thoughts allow us to create emotions that build up. And a lot of things happen in our life that create, I'm not going to get into psychoanalyzing the situation, and yet our feelings come from our subconscious and our thoughts come from our conscious mind, and we can control our conscious mind. So the best thing you can do when you're confronted with a situation is to be more open-minded, be honest with yourself. When you put your emotions aside and see things independently for what they really are, because that's what the first item on the list is, perception. Perceive them for what they really are. What are the real risks and benefits of a given action or situation? And sometimes you have to like trick your brain into getting off the emotional part and getting on to the thought process. One good way to get your brain into the thought process is to think, how scared am I here now on a scale of 1 to 10? Let's say, how anxious am I, with 10 being terrified and 1 being, it's okay, it's not too bad. And so when you feel anxious or are fearful of doing an activity, think, well, okay, I'm a 7 or I'm a 5. And so that process of focusing on numbers will get you out of the feeling, which is subconscious, and into a thought process. And so just by doing that, you're going to lower your anxiety level, and you're going to kickstart your brain, and you can think. You can dilute the emotion, and you can automatically kind of look at the situation for its value. Consider, what is the value of missing this opportunity? The issue is, some issues are without risk, and some are with risk, and yet if you don't take action, you don't get the benefits. So what are the benefits, but what is the missed opportunities by not taking action? You can live a quiet, happy life, but if you want to create something new and different and exciting, you need to take action. So what is the worst case scenario? Put that in perspective. You know, when I was in the catering business, catering is a disaster waiting to happen. Things always went wrong. It's just the nature of the beast, hauling off stoves and dishes and things off to farm fields and cooking full-course French meals in the middle of a field or a tent. It's just wrought with problems. And when things came up, things happened, we had a saying that was, well, nobody died, right? We did the best we could. And that's what you need to do. In the worst case scenario, what's the worst can happen? You know, we might have an angry bride because the champagne was whatever, warm. But in the worst case scenario, it's not the end of the world. So putting the worst case scenario in perspective is oftentimes a good way to think about, well, should I move forward? You know, understand the benefits of failure too, because when things don't work the way you want, you learn, you grow. Each opportunity, each no, each situation that you participate in that didn't work the way you wanted it to is a growth opportunity. One of my favorite sayings is, you can always make up in numbers what you lack in skill, and the numbers will give you the skills. And that's why you need to seek out the no. That's why you need to move forward and follow the path of growing your business. Take action. The best way to reduce your fear and build confidence is to take action. So on our last webinar, I gave you a few things to do, and I think you should go back and do them. Prioritize your fears. And so another thing about overcoming fear, or overcoming the fear of no, or overcoming any action-based fear, is to let go of the outcome. What usually prevents people from taking a risk is the fact that the outcome is not guaranteed. Well, we know that, right? None of us are able to predict exactly what's going to happen. So stop being attached to the results and look at it as a path of growth. The person standing in front of you is not going to make or break your business. It's all about continuing progress, not perfection. If you are waiting for everything to be right, you are never going to get there, because it's all about progress. So don't base your decision to act on the results. Stop being attached to the results. It's kind of like unconditional love. You don't love someone because you want to be loved back. You love them. If they don't love you back, you still love them. It's like the waitress. We talked about a waitress last time. She doesn't get all upset if you don't want dessert. And so she's not attached to the end results. You don't ask someone to host a show because they're going to say yes. You ask them because you have a service to provide, just like the waitress offering dessert has a service to provide. And so when you are providing value, fun, entertainment, free products, you are providing a service. And that's why it's important to let go of the outcome and just focus on the process. Do you know, do your best right now, and trust the path is going to lead you to where you need to be. And so last but not least, and this is a really big one, is the process of overcoming your fears is to burn your bridges. Now, I'm sure you've heard that expression. Actually, the original expression was burn your boats, and it came from ancient Greek armies that went across the oceans to do battle, and when they got there, they burned their boats, leaving them stranded, because that way it made them better fighters. When you have no way to go home, it almost ensures victory, because it's the only way you're going to get home is if you win. And so it increased the resolve for soldiers. When success and failure are the only options, you have no choice but to keep the follow through. And so I want to give you an example of this, because when I left the corporate world, I didn't quit. I took a 50% pay cut on my job. I'd been in my job for 30 years. I made a lot of money, and I took a 50% pay cut on my job. And, you know, whereas I didn't totally burn my boats or burn my bridges, I really screwed up my opportunity to continue in my career, because you don't give up your top of the line GM position and take a 50% pay cut and expect them to say later, oh, okay, we'll take you back, Deb. You know, I pretty much messed up my chances of continuing on in my career. I mean, where I don't quit your day job too early, I left myself, you know, some security, a security net, but the fact that I did that, it pretty much burnt my bridges for my career. I mean, I could always go back and get another job, but it wouldn't be at that level that I was at before. And so when you do that, you become very committed, very proactive. And so those are some steps that you might consider as substantially little processes that will take you on the path towards lack of fear. All right, so I'm going to transition you right now into a way to find business, which is called It's Customer Service Week. And this was a radio interview, a radio show that broadcast last week. And we're going to talk about how to find business at your by making customer service calls to past customers. Whether you had one show or whether you've had, you know, 2,000 shows, you can call your past customers and use It's Customer Service Week to generate more business. So we'll see you again in a couple days. Make sure you take action. Your actions are listed below. If you haven't taken your actions from the other day, go back and get them. All right? You deserve the best. Fear can be overcome, and it needs a deliberate choice. Do it.
Are you looking for more leads? Are you tired of buying leads? Are you stressing about how to fill your calendar next month? For all of the solutions to these questions and more, visit the largest free direct sales home business resource center on the web at cashflowshowradio.com. Take advantage of all the free tips, tools, and recordings the site has to offer, or invest in your business and get the Power Up for Professional Results lead generation program. That's www.cashflowshowradio.com. You are listening to The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio with Deb Bixler. To ask a question of the host, send an email to deb@debbixler.com. Now, back to The Cash Flow Show.
Yes, welcome back to The Cash Flow Show, Direct Sales Radio, airing around the world, and we are so glad you're listening. Send your whole team to www.cashflowshowradio.com. Make sure you sign up for the newsletter while you're there. And you know what? I forgot to mention, just the other day, I was on my way to a local cooking class. I do cooking classes all the time locally. And I listened to the Cash Flow Show on the smartphone app on my way to the show. It was like tomorrow morning, or 12 hours from now. It airs at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. So wherever you are, it would be 12 hours from our live air date. It airs on the following day, which is Eastern Time, Thursday, 8 a.m. And on my way to a demonstration, I listened to it on the smartphone app. So it's really, really cool. And so you can either go to cashflowshowradio.com, and we got the little smartphone links right there, or you can go to your smartphone app market and search for WS Radio app. It is cool. I'll just click a button. We're in Studio B. Start listening. It is so cool. So party plan customer service scripts. Most sales consultants have done customer service calls at some point, and a lot of times your company or your home office encourages you to do customer service calls. But we usually do them to our hosts. Have you ever thought about doing them to every single customer you've ever had? If you do that and you've done any more than 1 or 2 or 10 shows, you've got a pretty good lead bank right there, and these are kind of warm leads. It's likely that you probably have literally hundreds of leads if you tapped into your customer service calls of all your past customers. And customer service, see, there's kind of the wrong thing, the wrong way to think about customer service in this industry. Customer service is to serve the needs of the customer. Most consultants do customer service calls because they're looking for bookings, or they're looking for business, or they're looking for new consultants. And so your purpose of making these calls is to focus on the needs of the customers, not your personal desire. So I have a script here. I was always uncomfortable making customer service calls the way my company told me to do it. And so, ask for, you're supposed to talk about, 5 things during this customer service call according to the script that you get from your company. Talk about bookings. Talk about new products. Talk about the opportunity. Talk about ask them for referrals. And if all else fails, ask them for referrals. I don't even know what else there's. I thought there was 5, but maybe there's only 4. Well, so this script that I'm going to give you right now works really, really well. And you can print it out. Go to cashflowshowradio.com, click the blog link. Actually, I think it's 2 articles down because a new article, we put a new article up every other day, by the way. So there really is unlimited resources. And I really believe that there's unlimited business out there for everybody if you're willing to go out and get it. So you need to think about what exactly is it. Is it the skills that you don't have? Is it you don't have the way, that you don't know where to find business? Is it you're not willing to step out of your comfort zone? So is it willingness, skills, or finding business, really? And so when you start to think about those 3 areas, which is it, then you can really start to solve this problem. Because there's no reason not to have enough business in Party Plan. So this really works for me well, and I'm far more comfortable doing it. And so your customers are going to be more open-minded. The conversation really develops nicely. And so you can use your own questions, and in between, I'm going to list them. I have 7 here. So the script is good because even if you get off track before you hang up, you can always go back to your script. I'm just going to read it through from top to bottom, and you can insert, change it however you see fit. So question number 1, the whole deal here is that this is called It's Customer Service Week at My Fantastic Company. Instead of doing customer service calls to focus on you, you're going to actually literally focus on them because guess what? It's Customer Service Week at My Fantastic Company. And so these questions are going to allow you to transition into specials or area of interest depending on what they say. See, the purpose here is that you're never going to go to bookings, products, your needs unless they give you the window. You're serving their needs. And I'm sure you heard me say share for 10 seconds or less and end it in a question. So if you always do that, they will talk. And this script puts them at ease. And so if you get off track, you just come right back to it because they're going to talk because they're going to be comfortable. Hey, Lisa, this is Deb with My Fantastic Company. How are you? And then the next question is, and again, you're going to let them talk in between, but I want to give you all the questions before we run out of time. This is Customer Service Week at My Fantastic Company. Whenever we have ours, whatever it could be, whenever we have our season change, whenever we get our new catalogs, every single month, the last week of the month, whatever you decide to insert in there, whenever we have our season change, My Fantastic Company asks us to call our past guests, hosts, whatever you want to insert in there, and see how you're enjoying your products. You got a minute? Okay. Next question. How are you enjoying My Fantastic Company products? Or how are you enjoying, and insert what she bought. If you know what they bought, you should have a past receipt. Question number 4, which product do you use the most? Or what's your favorite product? And question number 5, and you have to modify these for your products. What do you use it for? Or how many do you use at one time? Or how often do you use it? Or how many kids do you cook for? Or when was the last time you wore it? Or how often do you use it? In other words, pick out something that works for your product line. Number 6, is there anything that you've ever bought from My Fantastic Company that you don't like or that you're disappointed in? And number 7, what products would you like My Fantastic Company to carry in the future? keep in mind that My Fantastic Company is always interested in your input. So if you ever think of anything, just give me a call. Now, this script, if you use each question and let them talk and listen, they will say things that give you windows. They might say, "Oh, I love my so-and-so product, and it's just so wonderful." And then you say, "Cool. Well, how often do you use it, or what do you use it for, or what did your husband say the last time you wore it?" You ask them questions that get them to open up, and then they say more. And then you say, "Have you seen a catalog lately? Do you know that we just came out with a nice scarf that matches that?" Or, maybe it's cooking products. "Oh, what do you make on it? Your family loves that lasagna? Cool. Did you know we just came out with a new garlic toaster?" Whatever. It depends on what your product is. We're running out of time. We're running out of time. The point is that you'll always get the chance, and you always go back to what products would you like us to carry in the future. Keep that in mind. We always like your feedback. The last time I tested this script, I made 21 customer service calls using this technique. The results were 4 broken items replaced, 3 shows scheduled, 5 new product flyers sent out, and 1 fundraiser show scheduled, and several happy hosts that they were glad to hear from me. Try it. You have opportunities for unlimited leads out there. You just have to be willing to go get them. Try It's Customer Service Week.